Hi guys, I'm Chewy. I'm going to be talking about how to tell your parents that you're a furry. Now, this can be a very difficult task for some people, especially if you have social anxiety. But maybe you don't even have to tell them. Maybe there's different ways that you can let them know that will make it easier on you. There's tons of ways that you can let them know and definitely make it easier on yourself. I'm going to be talking about the way I did it, tips and tricks that I've learned and I've seen other people use, and some people who just haven't told them at all and how well it worked for them. Big disclaimer though at the start, every parent is different. So weigh the pros and cons before anything. This isn't a definitely do this and it'll definitely work. It's a this might work, but it depends on what kind of parents your parents are. So with that, let's get right into it. So I'm going to start by talking about my family, what I did to tell them and everything. Like most things, my brother found out first. It really wasn't a big deal to him. He's got his own stuff he's into, so we kind of just were like, oh, you're this, I'm this. But I was going to bowling meets and stuff and hanging out with furries all the time. Uh, as soon as I got a car, I was going to fur meets. To them, all they knew I was going to bowling and parties and hanging out with friends. It really didn't become a big issue until I started building a fursuit. Then, of course, they got curious because there's a foam animal head in the corner of my room with like a cardboard box full of fur. So they're like, okay, what are you doing? And I start telling them about the fandom, and I explain it, how it's a anthropomorphic community of people who enjoy the type of creatures and use Disney as a great reference for its backstory and stuff, and just steered them around anything that could be made to give it a bad name, and it worked really well. But that's just because my parents trust me. I'm the oldest child. I've never done a bad thing in my life. Yada yada yada. For all they know, I'm a pure kid who wouldn't do anything wrong. Well, that worked, but it's a very specific kind of work. So I'm also going to be looking at other people's styles, what they did, how they did it, and the universally best way I've seen out of most of the people that I've talked to about it. Um, a big thing about coming out to your parents about being a furry is you don't have to. If there's something that you're doing and there's nothing that really like can be shown to them about it, you don't really need to tell them. If you're just going to bowling meets and stuff and having fun, and they're not really getting curious about it or anything, there's no need to tell them until you feel either you're ready or you move out and there's no reason to really need to tell them. If you absolutely must, though, you have to be ready with all the facts, all the stuff, every reference you need to show them that it's a good community. So, very good example is Disney as a reference. Childhood movies, Zootopia is a perfect example of something. I didn't have that when I was a kid, but now it's available to use to show them just how far into everything it's assimilated now. Another way is telling them just straight up, hey, I'm a furry. I like animal people. It's straightforward. Some parents are fine with that. um, I've known quite a few who did that. Then that's really the end of it. They didn't really make it that big of a deal or anything. Um, though, as introverted people usually have trouble with it, a good way of going around explaining it to them is kind of just telling them it and then showing them some videos on it, like positive ones, tell them about the charities. Try to have other people kind of describe it for them. There's a lot of really good YouTube videos for that as well. I know I used a few to show my parents how nice it was, and that really helped cement in the fact that it's a decent community of people. Another way is the blunt approach, the very blunt approach. Instead of just saying you're a furry, just kind of start doing stuff around the house very furry, like building a fursuit. I definitely kind of pushed it real fast and real hard, so they didn't have much time to react. Because I was building an animal costume in my room and putting a lot of hours into it. And by doing that, it shows it's something that you're passionate about. because you're putting a ton of effort into either art, fursuit building, something creative that has to do with the fandom, and parents see that as something good. It's encouraging you to not be either introverted or lazy, sitting around doing nothing. It shows that you're putting in effort. Now, for anyone who does art or anything in the fandom, and you haven't come out to your parents yet, this is a very good way to use it as a creative boundary and tell them that the reason you're into this is because it's really helping you create, express your ideas and stuff in a way that you didn't know about until you found the fandom. It works really well with explaining the fact that you're in it as something very positive and very good on you. And parents love that because now you're doing something productive with your life. And every parent loves that. Now, at some point, most parents will ask about the not safe for work if they do any research because some are naturally curious. Mine definitely asked about it real early on, and the big thing about explaining that it's not a big part of the fandom is don't get defensive. As soon as you get defensive, people get curious. They go, "Oh, well, why are you getting so like nervous about this? It's something you're hiding clearly." But if you take it very blatantly, like, oh, if someone goes, "Oh, so there's a lot of porn," you're like, "Eh, there's some, but really, it's not a big part of it." That really not having any like backlash. Like, no, furries don't have porn. There's no porn. There's a big difference between those two. Like one looks like you're trying to hide it, and the other is you're accepting it, but you're also then explaining the fact that it's not that big a part of it, and that you don't partake in any of that, and you don't really try to pay attention to its existence. If you get defensive, parents will notice it real fast. They are the best at noticing it. It's something that they grew up doing, and now they know about it, and they're going to look for it in you because, of course, you're their kid. They don't want you doing things that are bad or perverted. So be ready for it. Don't let it take you by surprise, because if you let that take you by surprise and you get defensive, it may crumble their whole idea of the fandom around you, and you might be stuck with them kind of not wanting you to be in it because they think it's just a weird sex thing. And nobody wants that because it's clearly not. It's a great fandom full of great people. So just be ready for that and you can respond accordingly. And there's always the crazy one of try and convert them. Who knows? If you've ever noticed they have like a curiosity about stuff like that, or maybe they get really interested, maybe try to get them in too. Who knows? Maybe then you'll have parents that are furries and then they can finance you a fursuit. Really, you never know, and if they do show some sort of interest, it's really worth a shot. I kind of have made my family a little bit furry, not a ton, but enough to where they come and hung out with me at cons, and I've suited around with them and showed them around the con floor. So any little bit helps. If you can get them to be more and more supportive, it's really good for you, and it'll make for some definitely fun family photos of you in suit with them. That's all I have for this topic, but I would love to hear your guys' stories about how you came out to your parents. So if you would like to comment down below your story, and tell us how you came out to your parents about it. Tell them, was it easy? Was it hard? How did they react? Positively, poorly? I'd love to hear it all. And like always, please like, favorite, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!